Welcome to Dreamy Tales, a place where gentle, relaxing stories will guide you into a deep sleep. On this channel, we'll be sharing soothing stories to help you unwind and forget the worries of the day. If you enjoy these peaceful moments, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our bedtime tales. Let's create a space of relaxation together each night. Now, before we dive into tonight's story, let's take a few moments to relax your body and mind. Find a comfortable spot to sit or lie down. Gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, feeling the fresh air filling your lungs, and slowly exhale, letting the tension in your body gradually melt away. Repeat this 3 more times. With each breath, feel yourself becoming more relaxed and ready to enter the magical world of stories. Now, loosen your shoulders, gently massage your face, and release any remaining tension. Pay attention to any areas in your body that still feel tight, maybe in your neck, back, or legs, and gently let them relax. Next, we'll do a short guided visualization. Imagine yourself in a beautiful garden under the night sky, with the soft moonlight shining down. You can hear the rustling of leaves in the breeze, the sound of water flowing gently in the distance. Feel the cool breeze brushing against your face. Now that your body and mind are relaxed, let's step into tonight's story. But before we begin, remind yourself that you deserve these moments of relaxation, and let go of all worries as you listen to each word. And now, as you are fully relaxed, let's begin our journey into tonight's tale. Allow my words to guide you into a world of dreams and serenity. Relax and listen slowly. Hello, my dear friend. Come, settle in just as you are. Feel the weight leaving your shoulders, the gentle ease starting to spread through you, like warm honey or a soft, slow sigh. That's it. Just relax. Let yourself drift. We're going on a journey tonight. A quiet, soothing journey to a place bathed in soft light and gentle sounds. A place where the very ground beneath your feet sings. Yes, tonight we visit the planet of singing crystals. Imagine it with me now. Not a place of harsh edges or loud noises, but a world built of light and resonance. Picture mountains that aren't jagged peaks, but vast, shimmering formations of crystal, catching every stray beam of starlight and moonlight, breaking it into a million soft colors. Rivers don't rush. They flow like liquid light, tracing gentle paths through valleys where the air itself seems to hum with a quiet, lovely melody. The ground. Oh, the ground is made of countless tiny, smooth crystals, polished by eons of gentle wind and the softest of rains. When you walk upon it, it doesn't crunch or grate. No, each step is met with a tiny, pure note, a chime, a gentle, bell-like tone that joins the chorus of the planet. It's never jarring, always harmonious, as if the planet itself is breathing music with every moment that passes. The sky above is a perpetual twilight, filled not with harsh sun, but with soft, swirling nebulae and distant, kind stars that cast a silver glow. Aurora-like curtains of light ripple across the atmosphere, their colors deep and calming. Soft blues, gentle greens, hints of lavender and rose. And in this world lived a being whose heart was as connected to the planet's song as a river is to the sea. Their name was Lumen. Lumen wasn't tall or imposing. They were rather like a gentle breeze given form, with eyes the color of twilight and hair that shimmered like the softest moonlight on crystal. Lumen had a unique gift. They could hear the subtle nuances of the planet's song, the parts that others might miss. They could tell if a patch of crystals was feeling joyful or perhaps a little quiet. Lumen lived in a small, cozy dwelling carved gently into the base of a large, humming crystal cluster. It wasn't a house of wood or stone, but of living crystal, grown into shape over generations. The walls pulsed faintly with soft light, and the air inside always carried the sweetest, most calming part of the planet's song. Lumen spent their days walking the gentle paths, tending to the patches of crystals that seemed a little dim, or simply sitting and listening to the planet breathe its beautiful music. For a long, long time, the song of the planet of singing crystals had been vibrant and strong. It was the lifeblood of the world, nurturing the gentle crystal creatures that sparkled and hummed, guiding the rivers of light and filling the air with an abiding sense of peace. But lately, Lumen had felt a change, a subtle shift. The song wasn't gone, oh no, but it felt quieter in places, like a beloved melody played just a little too softly. A note here and there seemed hesitant. The vibrant hum that usually filled the air felt thinner somehow. At first, Lumen thought it was just their imagination. Perhaps a passing cloud of cosmic dust had dulled the light temporarily. Perhaps a gentle shift in the planet's core had muted the resonance for a moment. But the feeling lingered. As Lumen walked, the crystal chimes beneath their feet seemed less bright. The distant mountains hummed with a little less vigor. Even the air, usually thick with soft melody, felt less resonant. Lumen felt a gentle ache in their own heart, a sympathetic echo of the planet's quietening song. They loved this world, this beautiful, resonant place. They couldn't bear the thought of its music fading. They tried humming along, adding their own soft voice to the crystal chorus, hoping to bolster it. But it wasn't enough. The quietness persisted, spreading like a gentle fog across the land. Lumen sat outside their crystal dwelling one soft evening, watching the lavender and rose auroras dance across the sky. The hum of their home crystal was still comforting, but Lumen could feel the edges of the quietness creeping closer. "Why is the song fading?" Lumen whispered to the air, the sound swallowed gently by the muted hum. "What is happening to our beautiful music?" There was no immediate answer, of course. The planet didn't speak in words, but in resonance, in light, in feeling. And the feeling Lumen was getting was one of gentle unease, a quiet request for understanding. Lumen realized then that simply listening to the fading song wasn't enough anymore. They needed to understand. They needed to find the source of the quietness, to discover why the vibrant melody was softening. This was the gentle conflict that settled upon Lumen's heart. Not a battle, not a fight, but a quest for understanding. A deep need to help their home rediscover its voice. The next morning, as the soft dawn broke over the crystal peaks, painting everything in hues of soft gold and pearl, Lumen made a decision. They would journey to the heart of the planet's song. Not the physical core, which was far too deep and intense, but the metaphorical heart, the place where the deepest, most ancient resonances were said to originate. Legends spoke of a place called the Heartstone Valley, nestled deep within the oldest, largest crystal mountain range, the peaks of prime resonance. It was a long journey, one that would take Lumen across diverse crystalline landscapes, each with its own unique song and challenges. But it was a journey that felt necessary, a gentle calling from the planet itself. Lumen packed a small pouch made of woven moonlight fibers, filled with only the essentials. A smooth, palm-sized crystal that always hummed with warmth, a piece of dried luminous moss for soft light, and a deep well of determination hidden beneath their gentle exterior. They took a deep, calming breath, felt the muted song of their home cluster one last time, and set out. Their first steps took them across the shimmering plains. Usually, this area was alive with a vibrant, joyful tinkling, like a million tiny bells. But today, the chimes were softer, more hesitant. Lumen walked slowly, mindfully, sending waves of gentle appreciation downwards with each step, hoping to encourage the crystals. Some responded with a slightly brighter chime, a little spark of light. Others remained quiet. It felt like walking through a field where some flowers had simply decided not to open fully. As Lumen journeyed, they encountered some of the planet's gentle inhabitants. First, they met a cluster of green beetles, their iridescent shells reflecting the soft light in dazzling patterns. The beetles usually buzzed with a happy, resonant hum, but today their buzzing was subdued, their gleam a little duller. "Good day, gleam beetles," Lumen said softly. "Is the song feeling quiet to you too?" The beetles pulsed faintly in response, a low, mournful hum. It was as close to a yes as they could give. Lumen spent a few quiet moments simply being present with them, feeling their gentle sadness, sending them comforting energy. Gradually, the beetles' hum lifted a fraction, their shells regaining a tiny bit more sparkle. It was a small thing, but it gave Lumen a little hope. Even in the face of the quietness, a gentle connection could make a difference. Lumen continued towards the first major landmark on their journey, the Great Resonance, an immense crystal formation that rose from the plains like a mountain made of solid, pure light. It was ancient beyond reckoning, said to have witnessed the very first song of the planet. The Great Resonance usually pulsed with a deep, steady hum, a foundational bass note for the planet's symphony. As Lumen approached, they felt the hum of the Great Resonance, but it too was softer, less profound than Lumen remembered. It felt tired somehow. Lumen reached the base of the massive crystal and placed their hand gently against its smooth, cool surface. They closed their eyes and reached out with their inner sense, trying to connect with the ancient crystal's feelings. They felt a weariness, not a pain, but a deep, slow exhaustion. It was as if the Great Resonance had been singing its fundamental note for so long, supporting the entire planet's melody, that it was simply running low on energy. But where did its energy come from? Lumen remembered the old stories, tales whispered on the soft winds between the peaks. The Great Resonance didn't generate its song entirely on its own. It was amplified and sustained by the collective resonance of all the smaller crystals, the tiny chimes underfoot, the humming clusters, the sparkling creatures. If the smaller voices were quietening, the great voice they supported would inevitably soften too. This was a revelation. The problem wasn't just in one place, it was connected to everything. The quietness wasn't a sickness but a collective sigh, a slowing down of the planet's vibrant energy flow. Lumen thanked the great resonance silently, sending it a wave of gentle gratitude and understanding. They knew their journey wasn't just about finding a single source, but about understanding the network, the beautiful, intricate web of resonance that made the planet sing. The next phase of their journey took them into the Whispering Caves. These weren't dark, damp caves, but luminous caverns carved by eons of liquid light, their walls lined with crystals that held the echoes of ancient songs. Stepping inside was like entering a library of sound, except the books were shimmering formations that, when brushed ever so gently, would release a faint, ghost-like melody from the distant past. The air in the Whispering Caves usually felt thick with these lingering echoes, a rich tapestry of sound. Today, it felt sparse. Lumen walked carefully, their footsteps making soft, reverent chimes. They reached out and gently touched a crystal stalactite. Instead of the clear, sweet echo they expected, it released only a faint sigh of sound, like a forgotten memory. Lumen felt a pang of sadness. These echoes were treasures, preserving the history of the planet's song. If they faded completely, a part of the world's memory would be lost. As Lumen ventured deeper, they saw movement. Tiny, shimmering creatures with delicate wings the color of moonlight, the lumina moths. These creatures were essential to the Whispering Caves. They fed on the gentle energy of the echoes, and in turn, their wing beats helped to stir and refresh the ancient resonances, keeping them from fading entirely. But the lumina moths Lumen saw were sluggish. Their wings beat slowly, their usual bright luminescence dimmed. They looked hungry. "Hello, little ones," Lumen murmured softly. "Are the echoes not strong enough to feed you?" The moths fluttered weakly, gathering around Lumen as if sensing a source of gentle energy. It was clear. With the echoes fading, the lumina moths couldn't sustain themselves, and without the moths' gentle stirring, the echoes faded even faster. It was a quiet, gentle, downward spiral. Lumen sat down amongst the moths. They closed their eyes and focused on their own inner resonance, the gentle hum of their own being, which was deeply attuned to the planet. Lumen began to hum softly, a simple, comforting tune. As they hummed, they focused on sending gentle energy, warmth, and light outward, towards the crystals on the walls and towards the lumina moths. It felt a little strange, humming to rocks and moths, but Lumen did it with sincerity and kindness. They hummed about the beauty of the ancient songs, about the importance of memory, about the gentle interconnectedness of everything on the planet. Slowly, tentatively, the crystal walls seemed to respond. A faint echo, a whisper of a melody, rose from a nearby formation. It was weak, but it was there. And as the echo appeared, the lumina moths perked up. Their wings began to beat a little faster, their luminescence brightening slightly. They drifted towards the faint echo, feeding on its energy. Lumen continued to hum, their voice soft but steady. More echoes stirred, responding to the gentle offering of energy and attention. The lumina moths became more active, their collective wing beats creating a soft, rustling sound that mingled with the gentle echoes. The air in the cavern began to feel a little richer with sound, a little warmer with light. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but a gentle, gradual lifting. Lumen realized something else important here. The songs needed to be heard and appreciated. They needed gentle interaction to stay vibrant. The quietness wasn't just about energy levels. It was about a lack of conscious connection, a forgetting of the gentle dance between the inhabitants and the planet's song. Lumen spent the rest of the day in the whispering caves, humming gently, listening intently to the echoes, and watching the lumina moths regain their gentle strength. Before they left, Lumen felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey to the Heartstone Valley was more important than ever, but now they understood it wasn't about fixing something broken, but about rekindling a gentle connection that had been neglected. Leaving the whispering caves, Lumen continued their journey towards the peaks of prime resonance. The landscape began to change again. The soft plains gave way to gentle slopes, covered in larger, more structured crystal formations. These crystals hummed with deeper, more complex tones. They were the foundation of the planet's harmony, providing the structure for the lighter melodies. As Lumen ascended, they noticed another sign of the quietening song. Patches of crystals seemed duller, their structure less defined, as if they weren't receiving enough energy to maintain their perfect forms. And amongst these crystals lived the resonance sprites. Resonance sprites were tiny beings made of pure, shimmering energy, like living motes of light. Their purpose was to tend to the growing crystals, coaxing them into beautiful shapes, ensuring their internal structure was perfect for resonance. They did this by vibrating gently against the crystals, sharing their own pure energy and intention. Lumen saw the resonance sprites gathered around the dull crystals, looking disheartened. Their own light flickered weakly. "Good evening, little sprites." Lumen greeted them softly. "Are the crystals resisting your touch?" The sprites pulsed with a soft, sad light. They couldn't speak words, but their feeling was clear: frustration and helplessness. They were trying their best to tend to the crystals, to encourage their song, but the crystals weren't responding with their usual vitality. It was like trying to sing with a voice that was simply too tired. Lumen felt a deep empathy for the little sprites. They were doing their work, performing their gentle task, but the underlying energy wasn't there. This reinforced Lumen's growing understanding. The song wasn't just about the crystals themselves or the creatures, but about a flow of energy, a reciprocal exchange of vitality and resonance. If the flow was inhibited somewhere, everything down the line was affected. Lumen sat down and watched the resonance sprites. They saw how diligently they worked, vibrating with all their might against the unresponsive crystals. It was a quiet, gentle struggle. An idea sparked in Lumen's mind, a gentle flash of intuition. What if the crystals weren't receiving enough energy from the planet's core resonance? And what if the sprites could help facilitate that connection? Lumen took out their warm, palm-sized crystal. It still hummed faintly. Lumen held it out to one of the resonance sprites. The sprite hovered closer, drawn by the gentle warmth and energy. Lumen carefully placed the crystal on the ground next to a dull patch of crystals. Then, Lumen guided the sprite to hover above the crystal, and then gently touch the dull patch. As the sprite connected the two, Lumen focused their own energy, their intention, their deep love for the planet and its song into their handheld crystal. They imagined a channel of soft, golden light flowing from their heart, through the crystal to the sprite, and then to the dull patch of crystals on the ground. It was a simple act of focused intention and gentle connection. And it worked. As the sprite, now amplified by Lumen's crystal and intention, vibrated against the dull crystals, a faint glow appeared in them. A low hum, barely audible at first, began to rise. The sprite brightened considerably, sensing the positive response. Other sprites noticed and gathered around, drawn by the returning energy. Lumen spent hours there, working with the resonance sprites. It wasn't strenuous work, but it required gentle focus and a steady flow of intention. They learned to feel the subtle resistance in the crystals and the gentle effort of the sprites, helping to bridge the gap. They discovered that by placing their hand on a cluster of crystals and humming with a specific tone, a tone that resonated deeply with the planet's underlying frequency, they could help wake up the dull patches, making them more receptive to the sprite's work. This felt incredibly significant. It wasn't a grand solution, but a slow, patient process of reconnection. It required listening, understanding, and offering gentle assistance. Lumen realized that the quietness wasn't a crisis requiring a heroic feat, but a gentle imbalance requiring mindful attention and collective effort. The journey continued, the slopes growing steeper, the crystal formations larger and more intricate as Lumen approached the heart of the peaks of prime resonance. The air here was usually alive with a profound, complex symphony of deep hums and resonant chords. Now it was quieter. The grand symphony muted, like listening to a full orchestra play at a whisper. Lumen felt a growing sense of anticipation, mingled with a quiet worry. They were getting closer to the Heartstone Valley, the legendary source. What would they find there? A failing core? A silent void? As they reached the highest passes, the view opened up. Below them lay a hidden valley, bathed in the softest, purest light Lumen had ever seen. The valley floor was covered in crystals, unlike any they had seen before. Larger, smoother, with an inner light that pulsed gently. And in the very center of the valley, rising like a gentle, glowing hill, was the Heartstone itself. The Heartstone wasn't a single, immense crystal, but a vast, intertwined cluster of perfectly formed crystals, glowing with an inner radiance that seemed to contain all the soft colors of the planet's sky. It pulsed with a deep, slow rhythm like a cosmic heartbeat. Lumen descended into the valley, their footsteps making the gentlest of chimes on the luminous ground. As they got closer to the Heartstone, they felt its resonance washing over them. It was incredibly powerful, yet also incredibly quiet. The Heartstone pulsed. Yes, but its song, the fundamental, vibrant melody it was supposed to send out across the planet, was barely audible. It was like standing next to a magnificent instrument that was only being played with the faintest touch. Lumen reached the base of the Heartstone cluster. They placed their hand, the one that held the warm crystal, against its smooth, radiant surface. Closing their eyes, Lumen reached out with their entire being, their heart, their soul, connecting with the core of their world's song. They felt the Heartstone's energy. It wasn't depleted. It wasn't damaged. It was waiting for something. Lumen listened, not with their ears, but with their inner sense. They listened to the faint pulse, the almost silent song. And as they listened, truly listened with the deep attention and stillness, they began to understand. The Heartstone's song wasn't meant to be a constant, outgoing blast of energy. It was meant to be an echo, an amplification. It received the collective song of the planet, the chimes of the walking crystals, the hums of the beetles, the whispers of the echoes, the vibrations of the sprites, the resonance of every living and crystalline thing, and amplified it, returning it as a powerful, unifying melody that nourished the entire world. But the collective song had grown quiet. The chimes were hesitant, the hums subdued, the echoes faint, the vibrations weak. There wasn't enough incoming song for the Heartstone to amplify. It wasn't failing, it was simply receiving silence and reflecting quietness. The solution wasn't to fix the Heartstone, but to help the planet remember how to sing together again. The quietness was a consequence of disconnection, a subtle drifting apart of the planet's many voices. Lumen opened their eyes. They looked at the magnificent, quietly pulsing Heartstone. They looked at the shimmering valley, the distant peaks, the faint glow on the horizon that marked the direction of the plains and the caves. They saw the entire, beautiful, interconnected world, and Lumen understood their role. It wasn't to force the song back. It was to encourage it, to remind the planet of its own voice, piece by gentle piece. Lumen sat down by the Heartstone. They took their warm crystal and held it in both hands, feeling its gentle hum. They closed their eyes again, but this time, they didn't just listen. They began to resonate. Lumen started to hum again, their soft, clear voice adding to the almost silent symphony of the valley. But this time, their hum was different. It wasn't just their own tune. It was an attempt to capture the essence of the planet's song. The deep, fundamental note they felt pulsing within the Heartstone, mingled with the lighter, sweeter tones they had heard from the plains and the caves. They hummed with intention, hummed with love for their world, hummed with gratitude for its beauty, even in its quiet state, hummed with a gentle invitation for the planet to join them. Lumen hummed for a long, long time. The soft light of the valley seemed to gather around them. The air felt still, listening, and slowly, slowly, something began to happen. The Heartstone pulsed a tiny bit brighter. The faint hum it emitted seemed to gain a fraction more strength. It was responding to Lumen's gentle resonance, to this conscious act of connection. Encouraged, Lumen broadened their focus. They imagined their hum reaching out from the Heartstone Valley, flowing like soft, luminous water across the slopes, down to the plains, into the whispering caves. They imagined it touching the dull crystals, the quiet gleam beetles, the sluggish lumina moths, the disheartened resonance sprites. And they invited them gently, lovingly, to remember their song, to add their voice, however quiet it might be. It was a silent invitation, carried on waves of resonance and intention. Back on the slopes, a dull crystal pulsed faintly, then emitted a tiny, hesitant hum. A resonance sprite nearby, feeling the gentle energy, vibrated against it, and the hum grew a little stronger. In the whispering caves, a lumina moth, resting near a fading echo, felt a wave of gentle energy. Its wings fluttered, stirring the air, and a slightly clearer note rose from the crystal wall. On the plains, a gleam beetle lifted its head, its shell catching a stray beam of light with a little more sparkle. It emitted a soft, resonant buzz, joining the subtle chorus that was beginning to stir across the land. It wasn't a sudden, dramatic return. It was a slow, gentle reawakening, like dawn breaking inch by soft inch. Lumen continued to hum, their voice growing a little stronger now, filled with the rising hope. They felt the subtle changes spreading across the planet, felt the tiny responses joining the growing chorus. They felt the energy flowing back towards the Heartstone, carried on the wings of the lumina moths, amplified by the resonance sprites, resonated by the crystals. As the collective song of the planet began to strengthen, the Heartstone in front of Lumen responded in kind. Its pulses grew steadier, its inner light brighter. The soft hum it emitted rose in volume and richness, becoming the deep, resonant foundation it was meant to be. The sound wasn't loud or overwhelming. It was profound. A deep, soothing vibration that filled the valley, flowed out into the peaks and spread across the entire world. It was the sound of a planet breathing deeply, healthily, singing its ancient, beautiful song once more. Lumen's own hum mingled with the Heartstone's returning symphony. Tears, not of sadness, but of pure, gentle joy, welled in their eyes and shimmered on their cheeks like tiny, luminous crystals. The song was returning. The light in the valley deepened, becoming a soft, warm glow. The air thrummed with a rich, complex harmony. Lumen felt the energy flowing through them, connecting them to the Heartstone, to the planet, to every singing crystal and shimmering creature. They weren't just listening anymore, they were a part of the symphony. Lumen stayed in the Heartstone Valley until the soft twilight began to deepen towards night. The song of the planet was now strong and clear, a vibrant, harmonious melody that filled the air with peace and well-being. The quietness was gone, replaced by a gentle, pervasive resonance. They knew the journey back wouldn't just be a return, but a chance to witness the planet's renewed song. As Lumen walked back across the slopes, the crystals underfoot chimed with a brighter, happier sound. The resonance sprites were actively tending to the crystals, their own light strong and steady, the crystals they touched glowing with vitality. Entering the whispering caves, Lumen was greeted by a richer tapestry of echoes. The lumina moths danced between the crystal formations, their wings creating a lively, shimmering symphony that kept the ancient songs vibrant. Lumen touched a crystal wall, and it responded with a clear, sweet melody from eons past. And finally, returning to the plains, the air was thick with the joyful tinkling of 1,000,000 tiny chimes. The gleam beetles buzzed with energetic hums, their shells sparkling brilliantly in the soft, planetary light. Lumen reached their home, the cozy crystal dwelling, just as the auroras were at their most magnificent, painting the sky with waves of intense, yet calming color. The crystal walls of their home pulsed with a deep, steady hum, a sound of comfort and belonging that resonated deep within Lumen's being. Sitting outside, watching the light dance and listening to the full, beautiful song of the planet, Lumen felt a profound sense of fulfillment. They hadn't fought a monster or overcome a physical obstacle. Their journey had been one of listening, of understanding, of gentle connection, and of encouraging others to find their voice. The lesson Lumen learned, and the lesson the planet remembered, was that the song wasn't a gift to be taken for granted. It was a living thing, requiring conscious attention, gentle care, and collective participation. The quietness had been a gentle reminder, a call to reconnect, to remember the delicate balance and the power of singing together. And so, the planet of singing crystals sang on, its melody richer and more appreciated than ever before. Lumen continued to live their gentle life, always listening, always ready to offer a comforting hum or a helping hand, or perhaps a helping crystal, to any part of the planet's song that might need a little encouragement. And now, my dear friend, as the story of Lumen and the singing crystals comes to a gentle close for tonight, I invite you to carry a little bit of that peace and resonance with you. Imagine you are sitting by Lumen's side, feeling the soft hum of the crystal dwelling, listening to the beautiful, harmonious song of the planet washing over you. Feel its gentle rhythm. Let it soothe your worries, quiet your mind, and prepare you for a deep, peaceful rest. The song of the singing crystals is always there, a reminder of the beauty of connection, the power of gentleness, and the peace that comes from simply listening. Let the soft light of the auroras fill your imagination. Let the gentle hum of the crystals lull you into tranquility. You are safe, you are loved, and you are connected to this gentle singing world. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Feel yourself drifting, floating on waves of soft sound and light. Breathe gently, in and out. Let the peace sink deep within you. The story is finished for tonight, but the feeling of this beautiful singing planet that can stay with you. Let it guide you into dreams filled with soft light and gentle melodies. Sleep now, my dear friend. Sleep deeply. Sleep soundly. The planet of singing crystals is humming you a lullaby. Good night and sweet dreams.